Living in Peru was an experience and a big challenge for us this month. It was a tough month of learning how to roll with the constant changes in plans as quick as the hour. Complications of logistics and permits and many other factors kept us on our toes, but it was a month where we learned a lot. What I've come to realize is that people in these small towns are very welcoming and friendly. Hospitality for the Ashaninkan people were shown through traditional face paint. They also gave us bracelets and earrings, of which mine was handmade by Andrea, one of the widow's daughters. Living in the jungle was a stretch for a lot of us. Living in our tents with high humidity and hot temperatures and the constant insect bites from various unknown insects, we quickly learned to drop our comfortability of what we knew living in North America and embrace the ways locals lived here. Because of the change of plans, we weren't able to do the construction work we hoped to do for the orphanage. So instead, we went to the local schools and spoke with the students. We would open up with introductions and playing games such as ninjas and four corners to break the ice. Each time we visited a school, we would share with them a little bit how God has impacted our lives and what it meant to be a Christian. I spoke about during our life's toughest struggles, we can find peace through God. Many of my teammates spoke about how God impacted their lives. At the end of the day, we would share the important message that it was not by works, but by faith alone that we were saved and brought into a relationship with Jesus. Because we lived with the widows and orphans, we had a chance to spend time with them and speak into their lives, to encourage them in their faith with God when we weren't doing assigned ministry. It was a beautiful time of connecting with them and building relationships. What was a surprise to me was meeting the very few Christians that were in these towns. Wilson in particular had a passion for God that I haven't seen in a person in a long time. He was incredible, and being with him really encouraged my walk with God. He would lead us in devotional every morning, share a mini sermon, and lead us in Spanish worship. The second half of the month, we spent our time in a new town called Cubantia. When we arrived, we were warmly and eagerly welcomed. The local students gave us baskets of fruits and vegetables, and the townspeople dressed us in traditional clothing and adornments. Through God's divine appointment, we had a chance to partner with other missionaries from the ministry called Camino de Vida. They led a school kids event where we had the pleasure to help them out. It was so cool that Daniel actually knew one of the missionaries there before the prior visits to Peru. Yet there we are in a far remote town, many years later, where our path crossed for only that one day. Through all these, I realized that kids were always super curious about us. They would run and surround us in whatever we were doing. Their wide-eyed curiosity reminded me of how Jesus calls us to be if we were going to accept the kingdom of God. Another great moment of God's divine appointment was how the principal of the elementary school needed a photo of the school from above to send to the government. It just so happens we were there at the right time, and that I had brought my drone. In that very hour, I was able to fly the drone and transfer the files to her via USB. She knew it was God's appointment, and it was a real blessing to her. I am happy that I finally have a powerful use for the skills God has given me in video work. Partnering with Connor for video editing, we both were able to bless President Freddie, the townsfolk, the school board, and the ministry by creating multiple videos that they can use to further their town. We even made a video specifically for President Freddie with a little testimony of our lives. Coming out of Peru, we've learned a lot, and it will always be a memorable time living in the jungle. Please pray for President Freddie for him to continue welcoming missionaries with open arms and for him to find life in Jesus. Please pray for their town folks in Rio Tambo and Cubantia and the widows and orphans here. Thank you guys for your continued support and prayers.